Hey guys, it's Housewife in Heels, and I'm going to be comparing the Christian Louboutin So-Kate versus the new Very Prive 100s. I like to do these videos because I know that most of us generally cannot afford one pair of Louboutins, let alone two. So for those who might be torn between two pairs of shoes, I like to help those people make a more informed and better decision for them. I also like doing these videos because it is fun to compare and contrast between two pairs of luxury shoes, and I also know that there are people out there who just like to watch me talk about shoes, so here I am. We'll be setting this video up in 3 different areas. The first will be aesthetics, where I actually put the shoes on. Each shoe will be on one foot, and you will get to see them compared on the foot. Then we will go into the comfort, which is arguably more important than aesthetics, especially when you're spending anywhere from $500 to $1,000 on a pair of shoes. And then we will get into wear and tear, because I know for shoes that expensive, you do want to know if you're going to get your money's worth and if they will last you. So I will get into the aesthetics portion of this video, and I will see you guys back in a bit. There is a very obvious difference in height between the two shoes, but the new Very Prive can come in the 120mm height if that's something you are interested in. There is minimal toe cleavage in the new Very Prive, whereas there is a lot of side toe cleavage in the So-Kate. There is very minimal arch showing in the new Very Prive. I have to almost lift my foot out of the shoe in order to be able to see much arch, whereas in the So-Kate it exposes quite a bit of arch since it thrusts the foot up and out. Obviously, the new Very Prive has a 20mm platform, greatly reducing the heel pitch, which can compromise the look of the shoe. The heel width of the stiletto is about the same in both shoes, and obviously the So-Kate towers over the new Very Prive, being a single sole shoe at a 120mm height. I'm back. We're going to get into the comfort of each of the shoes. So, the So-Kate has a very notorious reputation for being some of the most uncomfortable Louboutins that are readily available, and from my experience this does hold true. It is quite uncomfortable because of the very high heel pitch, which I think most people would be aware of, but it's also very uncomfortable because of this quite narrow toe box. I have narrow feet. Even I have experienced issues wearing these in the toe box. This toe box is so restrictive that it will cut off your blood flow, and the ball of your feet and your toes, that area will begin to go numb. If you do not want to experience that, if you are not comfortable being able to handle that while breaking them in, I would not recommend these shoes. The heel pitch is also something else to consider. You don't regularly see 120mm single sole shoes out very often for a reason, and that's because they are quite difficult to walk in, and just walking in them will become painful. I would say after about 10 minutes of walking straight in them, I will begin to feel pain in my calves just from being at such a severe angle on my feet. So that is definitely something to take into consideration. I personally have not blistered in these, but I think that has a lot to do with not being able to wear them for very long, which you're not going to have any friction created if you're not hardly moving around in them, in which case you will not blister. I have heard of people who have blistered in them, so I would recommend blister block anyway if you still are just bent on getting these shoes. The new Very Prives, I would say, are a lot more comfortable, but they do have their issues if you have a specific kind of foot shape. For most people with an average size foot, average width, I would say these would probably be a very comfortable shoe for you to wear, so long as you wore blister block around this area where there can be movement in the toes. I think that this rounded toe box is much more comfortable because it it doesn't restrict your foot. It's nice and snug, but it's not going to cut off your blood flow. You will actually be able to feel your foot for the whole duration of time that you are wearing these. Something that's also nice about these is that they do come in the 120 height. I only have the 100mm, but if you're looking for the height of the So-Kate without the pain and the duress that comes with it, then the new Very Prive might be where you want to go, because it doesn't have the insane heel pitch at the 120 height because of this 20mm platform, which we discussed while actually looking at them. So these, I think overall, if you have an average foot, it'll be great. For myself, who has a narrow foot, this created problems. I had so much room in this toe box that it allowed my foot to slide down. This created heel slippage for me, and on top of it, my foot had enough room to kind of wiggle around to develop friction, which blistered me. I blistered pretty bad in these, so I wouldn't recommend them to someone with narrow feet unless you didn't plan on wearing them a whole lot, or if you wore a lot of blister block with them. So I think that about does it for the comfort aspect. As far as wear and tear is concerned, they do wear differently because of the different shape of the toe box. With the So-Kates, or really in pointed toe shoes in general, you'll begin to see a lot of wear and tear in the point of the shoe. You'll often hear people tell you to take them to cobblers and not only get, say, the Vibram or the Casali or whatever protector they might have there, but they will also often tell you to get something placed on the point of the shoe, just because that part can take quite a beating and get worn down very quickly. That will not happen with a new Very Prive. With it being rounded, it will take the wear a lot better down there as far as that is concerned. However, I do think that the average person would get more wear out of the new Very Prives, which in turn would wear it down a lot more quickly than a So-Kate would wear down just from use value. This will give you a lot more use value, but using it more will create more wear a lot more quickly. So definitely keep that in mind. If you're looking to have them for decades and decades, that may be something that you want to take into consideration, especially if you're like myself and you wear heels all over the place. Some people might want to know how the leather wears, because different shoes are often made of different leathers, different thicknesses. These actually feel like they have the same thickness of leather. However, the toe boxes, this toe box is quite squishy, quite soft in comparison to the So-Kate. You have a much harder time squishing it, so I think that at bare minimum in the toe box, this is made with a much thicker leather. It doesn't feel like it's too much thicker, but it is a lot stiffer. So these would be harder to break in. So I think these would overall last longer. So I think that will about do it for this video. I hope you guys either learned something or you enjoyed yourself watching. I will hopefully see you guys in the next pair of shoes. Bye!